So for these frappe coffees that I'm making, you're just mainly going to start off with your coffee, and then you're just going to need your unsweetened cocoa and your sweetener of choice. So since I am making 2 cups of coffee because it's a pretty big mug, you're just going to need 1.5 tablespoons of the cocoa powder and the same amount for the monkfruit sweetener. And I like it really sweet, and that's why I add so much, but of course you can add less if you want. I'm going to be making 3 different chocolate versions, and they all start with this same method with the first cup of coffee. And so from there we are going to be starting off with the regular just chocolate frappe mocha. Now this is also optional, but I do put whipped cream on mine because I drink half of the coffee and then I save the other half for the next day for my frappe mochas. However, that is optional, but I find that it does add a little bit of taste to it. So now for the cocoa frappe, which is just the basic one, I just put in 1 cup of the cold coffee that is rested overnight. All of these are going to be in the description, all the ingredients, the calories. So now I'm just going to add 3/4 of the unsweetened almond milk. And then I'm going to be adding 2 cups of ice. I always add 2 cups of ice because I just love the thickness of it. It gives it more of that cold frappe flavor. It's great on a hot day. It'll keep you cool in the morning. Then I add an extra 1 tablespoon of sweetener. Like I said, I like it sweet, so I add extra when I'm making it. And then after that, we're just going to blend it. I also added some extra cocoa because when you're using the first cup of the cold coffee, you're not going to get all the settled down chocolate that's in the bottom. So because of that, I had to add extra chocolate, but I would recommend just making 1 cup and cutting that recipe in half, or making the 2 cups, drink the first half, and then just use the bottom half for whenever you are going to use it for the frappes. What I really love about these are that it's so low calorie because of the almond milk, and it's just plain coffee and unsweetened. Whipped cream isn't very much to it. The cocoa powder has like nothing in it as well. So these are just really easy to add into your diet. It does fill you up because it can make up to 2 cups with just 1. So whenever you're drinking it, or whenever you see mine, they're in a really large cup and it doesn't have all of it. There's still a little bit left over, and so you can always cut that in half and just make 2 separate ones, 1 for the morning, 1 for the evening. Or of course you can just drink it all at once, and that will fill you up, like I said. And so that's why I really enjoy it, because I just like being filled up, I guess. So I am going to be trying all of these, and whenever you're drinking these, you have to be careful because it's thick, so it can just fall on your face. And that's kind of one of the reasons why I also like eating it with a spoon, because of the thickness. With the crunch, this is so good. You guys have to have the topping. So good. So now we are going to be making the chocolate with the caramel frappe. And so start off with the same half cup coffee. And this one was the bottom half, so I didn't need to add any extra cocoa to it. So then you just add your regular 3/4 of unsweetened almond milk, your 2 cups of ice, and of course your 1 tablespoon of sweetener. Now for the caramel, you're just going to be adding 1 tablespoon and then 1 teaspoon as well into the mixture right before you blend it together. And make sure you get a sugar-free caramel. I did get mine from Amazon, and I will also put that in the description as well. And then whenever we're done with that, of course, we're going to be adding our topping. And so for the topping, we're going to need 1 teaspoon of the caramel again, and then we're going to be using the whipped cream, and I just usually just spray it on. It's about, I would say, 3 to 4 tablespoons of whipped cream, and then I just sprinkle on the caramel. And the caramel I use is called Chalk Zero. What I love about these recipes, they're just so easy to make. It's so simple. It's just a couple ingredients that you can use over and over again, just to fill you up and make an awesome drink with it. It just comes out looking very nice, and you can make it fancy looking. It's just a really great dessert for breakfast, and I would recommend trying it. And topping makes everything for these. Everything. The caramel is just so good. And the chocolate crunch for the other one was really good too. But I would definitely recommend trying both of these. Now for the third one is the chocolate and peanut butter frappe. So, of course, we're going to be adding the half cup of coffee, like always, 2 cups of ice, 1 tablespoon of the sweetener, and then we're going to be adding some peanut butter. And it's just going to be 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. So this one is a little bit different, and we're just going to be adding a whole cup of the unsweetened almond milk instead of 3/4. And it's just because the chocolate is just so thick, and so I wanted it to make sure it all blended out nice and evenly. So I also wanted to talk to you guys about the toppings. So if you haven't noticed, whenever I'm doing my taste test, like, the first thing you taste is your topping. So this is really what makes the difference. And so whenever you're taking that first sip, it's just going to bring all that sweetness. And I like to add the chocolate. As you can see here, I'm just chopping about half, or you can add less or more if you would like. But I just do about like 1/4. And so you just add that sprinkle to the topping, and it just gives it a nice crunch when you're eating it. The caramel on the other one came out a lot nicer. You'll get more of the flavors that you want with that topping. And so whenever I'm eating it with a spoon, I can get more of that topping, and it would just taste so good. And so it's even greater because it's so thick at the top. So whenever you're eating it, it's kind of hard to just drink it right away. So you can eat some of that thick ice part of it before you actually get to the more liquidy part at the end. So you can kind of eat it before you actually are drinking it. And so when you're eating it, it's kind of like a dessert, you know, with the topping. And so it just comes out really good. And so because of that, of course, for this last one, I add the chocolate, but I also am adding a little bit of the peanut butter. And since the peanut butter is more high calorie, I did just use 1/3 of a teaspoon for the topping. But that's why I tried not to use too much peanut butter in it. But of course I did want it to have enough so that you can get that peanut butter flavor in it as well. And so you are going to notice that this one is going to be more high calorie dense compared to the first two. But of course, if you are really craving that peanut butter, it's all going to be worth it, I promise. And I don't know if this was just me, but I thought that it kind of looked like a blizzard from Sonic, or like the Dairy Queen McFlurries. I don't know if it's because of the colors or what, but it just looks so good to me. And so it was just kind of awesome. And yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you guys. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know it was very different. And I'm sure you guys will kind of see why in my next videos. And I hope you enjoyed it. So I just finished making the chocolate one with peanut butter, and it came out really good.
Like ice cream.
Yeah, like ice cream. That's what she said. And this one you can taste the peanut butter just slightly in the cream, but when you top it with it, it just makes everything come out. Like, you just taste all the flavors. It comes out really good.